The Atlanta Journal-Constitution is going digital only, and today was the last day you could pick up a paper copy.
As the trucks arrive delivering thousands of crisp newspapers, dozens of carriers begin folding and bagging, including veteran paper carrier Kevin Ray, who says there's an art to this work.
Fold it into thirds, and then the top side of the paper, that's what you put into the sleeve.
But after today, Ray will only be putting national papers into the sleeve. The end of the print version of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution means carriers will continue smaller routes for the remaining national subscribers. The paper has been in print for 157 years. Jonathan O'Brien, ABC News, Atlanta.
Wall Street was predicting an increase in weekly jobless claims.
Instead, the figure fell by 16,000 and was back below 200,000 in the week ending December 27th. But that comes just weeks after jobless claims surged to their highest in over 4 years. Analysts say holiday hiring and the residual effect of the federal shutdown has created additional volatility in the job market.
ABC's Jim Ryan. Bulgaria is joining the euro on New Year's Day, becoming the 21st member of the shared currency. Britain's Queen Camilla has detailed for the first time publicly an incident in the 1960s when she fended off a man that attacked her on a train when she was a teenager. She tells the BBC the man attacked her while she was reading. Camilla says speaking out is one way she can use her royal platform to shine a light on the epidemic of violence against women. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
CVS Health supports people in the moments that matter, from picking up a prescription to connecting care. With nearly 5 million daily interactions and serving 185 million consumers and 1.5 million healthcare professionals, CVS Health holds a trusted place in healthcare. By simplifying care and improving health, we're helping people get the care they need. Learn more at cvshealth.com/investorday.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
It's now 5:05, and with your local news headlines, I'm Will. Be all right. Funeral services were held earlier today for President Jeffrey R. Holland, a leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who is remembered as an apostle of love, learning, and hope. Brother Quentin L. Cook, a fellow apostle and former mission companion of President Holland, conducted the services.
He had the extraordinary ability to connect with people. Whenever you were with Jeff Holland, you felt special, loved, and valued. We will miss his loving kindness, his infectious smile, and his powerful witness of Jesus Christ.
Now, daughter Mary Alice McCann told the assembly that her father's Irish blue eyes and fiery conviction made his testimony of the Savior contagious. She characterized him as an apostle who believed that through Jesus Christ, all things would eventually be made right.
My dad was able to succor the weak, lift up the hands which hang down, and strengthen the feeble knees. But it was not because he could do the lifting and the strengthening. It was because he knew the sustaining powers of the Redeemer of the world, and his passion was to give that knowledge to all who are faint of heart.
Church leaders noted that while President Holland's seat in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles is now vacant, his legacy of education and faith remains a cornerstone of the institution. Now, a successor is expected to be announced in the coming weeks. Now, President Holland's death follows that of his wife, Patricia, who passed away in 2023. A private interment is scheduled to take place tomorrow in his hometown of St. George, where he will be buried alongside of his wife. Well, a wave of first-of-their-kind laws are taking effect across the country as we ring in the new year tonight, ranging from environmental taxes in Hawaii to a strict new identification requirement here in Utah. Now, in the Beehive State, bars and restaurants must now check the ID of every customer regardless of their age. Now, the law targets extreme DUI offenders, those with a blood alcohol content of 0.16 or higher, and it will now require that everyone have a driver's license or valid ID to purchase alcohol, and servers will be watching for driver's licenses that are marked with a prominent red stripe and the label that says no alcohol sale. Now, some other significant national changes around the country include Washington State, which is implementing a new minimum wage now of $17.13 an hour. It's the highest in the country. Meanwhile, the state of California is beginning to sell its own CalRx brand of affordable insulin that'll be as little as $11 a pen. And Utah health officials confirming 14 new measles cases yesterday, bringing the statewide total now to 156. Now, the surge includes 40 cases that were diagnosed just in the last 3 weeks, with 16 patients requiring hospitalization. Now, the Southwest Utah Health District still remains the epicenter with 114 cases, but smaller clusters have been identified here in northern Utah, along with Wasatch, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. Now, state epidemiologist Dr. Alicia Nolan urged unvaccinated residents to seek the MMR vaccine, noting that measles is highly contagious and can lead to severe complications like pneumonia or brain swelling. Now, officials also advise anyone who may be exhibiting symptoms such as a high fever and a red rash to stay home and call medical providers before arriving at clinics to prevent any further spread. Well, as we ring in the new year, it's going to be a wet start to 2026, as we'll continue to see these clouds increasing overnight tonight as temperatures are going to drop into the mid-20s tomorrow, into the mid-40s, with clouds bringing a chance of rain throughout the day. And temperatures looks like over the next several days going to stay right around the mid-40s during the day, with overnight temperatures staying right around the mid-20s. And weather this hour brought to you by Discount Tire. Yeah, with rain and snow coming in the mountains, that means winter travel is definitely here, and that's why you need safe, reliable tires. Get into Discount Tire now, where you can still save on your favorite brands and take advantage of layaway, no credit check financing, and 12 months of no interest. It's at Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Headlines.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
Taking news to an all-new level. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Everyone has an estate, but do you have an estate plan? This is Jace Allen, Northern Utah's estate planning attorney. At Allen Law Office, wills and trusts are what we do. If you've been putting it off, now is the time to get it done. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones, protect your legacy, protect your assets. Start today at cashlegal.com or just search Allen Law Office. Wills and trusts are what we do. Allen Law Office.
Merry Christmas!
From Murdoch Volkswagen.
This season we're celebrating you
and giving back with great savings and holiday cheer
during the most wonderful buy of the year.
This month during the Sign Then Drive sales event, lease a new Tiguan SE for $419 per month with 0 down, 0 security deposit, 0 due at signing, and 0 first month payment.
When you walk through our doors, you feel like family.
And Murdoch Volkswagen in Logan or online at murdochvw.com.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 1/2/26.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. Last show of the year, December 31st. Happy New Year's Eve to everyone. I hope everyone has planned, whether it's going out and celebrating in the public, or whether it's staying home. And something I've learned to appreciate as I've gotten older, staying home and catching up on all the streaming service shows you half finished throughout the year. Either way, it's an acceptable New Year's Eve celebration. So I hope you plan to enjoy in some way or another. And, of course, hope you stay safe. Just a quick reminder from our friends at the Utah Highway Patrol. It is a big year. Now, interestingly enough, despite conventional wisdom on this, New Year's is not actually the biggest DUI holiday in Utah. That remains, for whatever reason, July 4th. But it is a night when the odds increase that there will be people drinking and driving, unfortunately. So with that in mind, news from around the state, 40 different law enforcement agencies this evening are warning drivers to, of course, be prepared and responsible on the roads. Good advice for any evening, New Year's Eve or not. But they are out with, they did this last year, but a zero tolerance for impaired driving campaign, if you will. And the message from the Highway Patrol reads, our troopers would much rather be out helping stranded motorists than knocking on the door of a loved one to tell them that their loved one has been hit and killed by a drunk driver. That message comes from Major Chamberlain Neff, spokesperson for the Utah Highway Patrol, speaking today at a very brief news conference. They do this every New Year's Eve to kind of, just remind everyone of some of the things they deal with. And some of the preliminary data provided at this press conference today, just for 2025, this data only goes up until December 10th of this year. So January 1st, 2025 to December 10th of this month. The data shows that there have been 238 fatal crashes in Utah, with a total of 250 fatalities. And alcohol-related crashes account for 633 of the crashes this year. Alcohol-related fatalities account for 24 of those 238 from the fatal crashes. Drug-related account for 58 of the fatalities. So total drug and alcohol-related fatalities in 2025, 67 people lost their lives, either directly to their own impairment or being struck and killed by someone impaired behind the wheel. And that is, So the good news is these numbers are down from 2024. In 2024, there were a total of 251 fatal crashes and 277 fatalities total from those crashes, with drug and alcohol-related fatalities accounting for 136 of those total 251 or 277 fatalities. So the numbers are down, and down quite a bit. That's a good sign. But again, Utah Highway Patrol with that message saying, this is a big night for them. They will be out in what's known as a law enforcement blitz, and that means that throughout the state there are several areas that will be treated as sort of checkpoints. They do these not to be annoying, not to annoy responsible, sober drivers out there on the road. They do these because if someone is impaired, they'll often do these checkpoints at a spot where they could much more safely be stopped before they get onto a freeway or a high-speed highway, a highway of 65 miles per hour. So they'll do these checkpoints at areas where people are most likely to be leaving an area where they might be out, in public having alcohol, and stop them before they can get onto a high-speed highway or the freeway and cause serious damage at high speed as opposed to at low speed. Now, they do remind that even at low speeds, there have been fatalities this year related to drug and alcohol impairment of a driver behind the wheel. One of those crashes highlighted in the presentation today was actually a crash that happened at 25 miles per hour. But due to the fact that one vehicle was stopped and the other vehicle struck it dead on, T-boned it at 25 miles per hour, killing that driver, and the driver behind the vehicle causing the accident was impaired. So a really good reminder, and I appreciated their message. Major Chamberlain Neff of the Utah Highway Patrol again saying this morning, our main message is that state troopers will be out in full force. We are working with local law enforcement on coordinated blitz operations this evening for the New Year's holiday, knowing that it is, there's a lot more drinking happening on New Year's Eve than traditional nights in December. And so they'll be out with what they're calling a zero tolerance for impaired driving campaign statewide. And again, saying troopers would much rather be out helping stranded motorists than having to knock on the door of a loved one to tell them that their loved one was hit and killed by a drunk driver. So, Highway Patrol also providing some resources for those. If you know, in the day and age of Uber and Lyft, it's a lot easier if a person goes out. Maybe someone goes out with friends and they don't plan to anyway be drinking, but then they change their mind, or maybe I don't know what the scenarios might be. But you find yourself in a situation where suddenly, unplanned, it's not safe for you to drive home. There are a lot of options. But one thing that they want to remind you of is this is actually something you can call law enforcement over without being arrested or going to jail. Now, with some caveats, you can't be behind the wheel or in control of the vehicle. So you can't have the keys in the ignition, sitting in the driver's seat. But if you find yourself in a situation where you know it's not safe for you to drive, though they can't, depending on the scenario, they can't often legally come and pick you up and give you a ride home. They're not a taxi service. They can connect you with resources available in general, but also some that pop up especially for holidays like July 4th and New Year's Eve, in which they're offering free rideshare options. There are even some community groups throughout the Wasatch Front. I'm not sure if they're in here in Cache Valley, but I know throughout the Wasatch Front there are community groups that if a person finds themselves impaired and not safe to drive, they can actually get connected with someone who will come and pick them up, and usually as a group, and then deliver each person to their home or to a safe place to drop them off near their home. So there are a lot of options out there. Of course, the smartest thing to do, call a family member or friend. But Highway Patrol reminding everyone today, worst case scenario, you find yourself in a situation where you are impaired. It is not safe for you to drive. Stay out of your vehicle. Don't put the keys in the ignition. You cannot be in control of your vehicle. But give them a call standing next to your vehicle and say, I shouldn't drive myself home. What options do I have? They can connect you with local resources to get a safe ride home. And that's a much smarter thing to do than getting behind the wheel of that car. Neff also said one message that I even hate more than that, that the doing the respect of, alerting family members that they've lost a loved one to a drunk driver. Neff said one message that I also hate is that ultimately providing that message to someone who is either arrested for a DUI or even laying in a hospital bed because they have themselves have been involved in a DUI crash is that, hey, you've just hit and killed somebody. And simply because you failed to plan in advance or you became impaired unexpectedly or it wasn't part of your plan and it happened, and then you made bad decisions after that happened. Easily avoidable. Plan in advance. If you plan to drink or do anything that might impair your driving ability, and if it is something you didn't plan for but it happens, take advantage of the other options that are out there, and there are many of them. So, again, law enforcement believes that rideshare services like Uber and Lyft have helped greatly, but tragically, many people, if they drove there in their car, get inebriated at a party or a bar. Unfortunately, many of them decide to just get behind the wheel, and oftentimes, as you can see from the numbers just this year alone so far, that does result in a fatality, and not always for the person impaired. It is often someone innocent minding their own business who dies. So don't do it. It is so easy to avoid, and there are a lot of options for you. So Highway Patrol, again, reminding if you find yourself in a situation where it's not safe for you to drive and you don't have any idea of who to call, or Uber isn't an option, Lyft isn't an option, some taxi service isn't an option, call local law enforcement, not behind the wheel of your car, from standing outside your car, and say, can you connect me with resources? They'll help you out. We'll be back right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
For more than a century, S. Needham Jewelers has been repairing jewelry and watches in Cache Valley. We do all our work on premises, and you may even talk directly with our expert technicians. We also have today's state-of-the-art equipment, including a laser welder that will repair jewelry with precision. We guarantee our work and offer competitive prices. So whether repairing your precious wedding ring, sizing a ring, or simply changing a watch battery, come to Utah's oldest jewelry store with today's newest technology and repair. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This holiday season, too many of the men and women who served our country are facing homelessness. Since Thanksgiving, 4 older veterans in our community have lost their housing. USA Project Valor is working urgently to get them safely housed, but they need your help. Please consider donating today at usaprojectvalor.org. Your support provides shelter, stability, and dignity to unhoused veterans. And to everyone who has supported USA Project Valor this year, your kindness has made a real difference. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jordan Mathis, Health Officer for the Bear River Health Department. In reflecting on this past year, I would like to extend my gratitude to you all. Thank you for your collective efforts in making our community such a wonderful place to live. We are fortunate to call Northern Utah home. We have clean water, safe communities, healthy children, great health care, and so much more. From everyone here at the Bear River Health Department, we wish you a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season.
Is your family visiting for the holidays, or are they already here? Well, they have laundry to do using your machines, and it'll take away hours from your family time. We'll send them to Mount Logan Laundry with the large 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers that dry 30% faster. They'll find clean, comfortable environment with free Wi-Fi internet and drop-off service, and they'll be back in no time. Recommend Mount Logan Laundry. They're at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry, the cleanest spot in town.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. It is honestly been a big year. That's to say the least. I feel like that's something you could say every year for the last several, but it really has been a lot. And with that in mind, I've been reading some interesting stuff as I've gone through and tried to find, my end of the year list. I love lists. I don't know why. It's just fun. It's a nice way to recap. It is hard sometimes if you sit and ask yourself, this is what usually happens to me. Someone will say, I talk to friends, I'm like, what do you think some of the biggest political stories of the year were? What were some stories locally, statewide, nationally, whatever it might be, that you were just glued to, that you followed from start to finish, or at least paid closer attention to than most other stories in the news each day? And they'll say something, and I'll think to myself, I forgot that was this year. I have a good memory for it happening, but I can't believe, yes, that was just in January of this very year. It seems like it was years ago. That's how I feel a lot when talking about politics these days. So I'm not sure what to make of that or what that means, but it's definitely a new element for even a dedicated political junkie like me. With that in mind, Political Magazine and The Hill, both online, politics-only news agencies, they polled their readers for the last 3 months, asking them, their readers, what they thought the top political stories of the year were, and then they contrasted that with their own traffic, their own, the number of people who visited this or that political story. And remember, again, The Hill and Political only do politics. So they're not mixing, sports or general news into this. This is only for political stories. And here's the list they came up with. Again, comparing their own traffic data, the number of times their stories were viewed, shared, etc., and this poll they did for 3 months with their subscribers, they came up with this list. So this is total subscribers. I think Politico has just under 1 million subscribers, and The Hill has just under 500,000 subscribers. So a pretty decent sample of people. But keep in mind, these are political junkies. If they're subscribing to Politico or The Hill, they're taking their politics seriously, or at least their political news. So this poll is tainted in that way. But here's the list. Topping the list, any story that could fall under the umbrella of Trump's election to a second term and then his first year in office. Now, that's generic, I know, and it includes, many different stories, from the start, from his inauguration in January to when this was compiled on Monday of this week. So it's a lot of different stories, and it's vague, but they put it that way. Any story relating to Trump's first year back in office was number one on their list of things people pay the most attention to. Second on their list was this year we broke a record, not one that we should be proud of breaking, for the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. At 42 days, the government shutdown that started October 1st was, again, record-breaking. Longest shutdown in U.S. history, and it only ended after 8 Senate Democrats broke with their party to join some Republicans who had kind of split with their conservative caucus to team up to give the number of votes to end the government shutdown. It was unpopular move both for Democrats and for the more conservative Republican caucus. Supporters of those elected representatives were not fans, and it may cost them their re-election next year. We'll see. But it remains one of the biggest stories of the year, setting that 42-day government shutdown record. Number 3 on the list of, again, top political stories according to what people read and shared and voted on themselves in a subscriber-only survey from Politico Magazine and The Hill. Politics only. Again, we're not talking sports, entertainment, general news. This is just top political stories. Number 3 on the list happened right here in Utah. Not that it would have been any better if it happened in any other state, but it did make it even more shocking, I think, for all of us here in Utah. The assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, shot and killed while speaking at a Turning Point USA event hosted by Utah Valley University on September 10th. I shouldn't say that. The university would just provide the location. It was hosted by a student group. Obviously a shocking moment. What made this, I think, even more shocking for most of us here in Utah is being at right here where it happened. I think a lot of people saw this if not in real time. I know I first saw the video about 10 minutes after it happened. And it was shared by someone with no ill intent, who was simply reporting this was an independent journalist working for, I think, City Weekly is who this young woman worked for, but she'd been there as a journalist covering the event, and she had been filming with her phone at the time of the shooting, and she shared the video on social media and said he was taken by ambulance to the hospital, and her angle didn't allow for the conclusion, that a lot of people there in attendance had that this was a fatal shot. So she wasn't sharing it to be gratuitous or, break any social media rules about sharing death videos, which are, again, violate most platform rules. But that's it. What in the end, what she ended up doing. She felt really bad about it, but a lot of us saw it just shortly after it happened, and that for me, it's hard to describe the impact of that. Honestly, it's not something that you expect to see. It's for some reason it hits a little harder that it happened in your own state. And then it's just such a heinous act. It's hard to really talk about this, what happened here, because you want to be careful about saying that, someone else being shot and killed is is acceptable somehow. And that's not at all what I mean to imply. You know, anyone minding their own business, shot and killed by someone for any reason, is a heinous act. But there was something about this one that I think struck people, even who, I'll tell you this, I wasn't a fan of Charlie Kirk. It wasn't anything that he specifically said that made me not a fan of him. It was that maybe this is just my age showing, because there are a handful of people that Kirk was one of that I put into what I call a performative politics category, and I don't think it's useful or healthy. And people are pretending that it's debate. It's social media oriented. The whole goal is to create these viral videos and make money off of them. And college students, unfortunately, and a lot of people in the media, unfortunately, think of it as debate. I'm old school. I was actually on the debate teams and in the debate clubs in high school and college, and that's not debate. In fact, most of our televised debates between elected or candidates for office are not debates anymore either. And I think we need to get back to actual debates. I want to go so far as to get back to actual Lincoln Douglas style debates, especially for the presidential election. I think it would not only be interesting and funny, but useful for voters. So I have an issue with the performing for social media style of politics that Charlie Kirk and many others, left and right, kind of represented. So I wasn't a fan. But the mere fact that someone shot and killed him because they didn't like what he was saying, and this happening just 2.5 months after two Democratic lawmakers, state lawmakers in Minnesota, were assassinated. Well, one was assassinated alongside her husband and the family dog. And the other, it was an attempted assassination. That person survived. These people were killed. Charlie Kirk, the two lawmakers from Minnesota, state lawmakers from Minnesota. These were assassinations and an assassination attempt, simply because someone disagreed with the words coming out of their mouths. And that should horrify everyone. That should erase partisan and political party divisions and lines, and everyone should be able to come together and say, that is not something that should happen in America. It does. It has happened throughout our history. It should never be acceptable. And it should disgust everyone. That's what made this story, I think, hit home so hard for me. So I was kind of surprised that it was only number 3, that it was down number 3. I actually would have put this story, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, ahead of the government shutdown record setting. But that's where it landed for Politico. Number 4 on the list, the release of the Epstein files. This was forced by a discharge petition by Republican Thomas Massey out of Kentucky, working with Democrat Ro Khanna of California. They worked together, co-sponsoring the bill, which basically accused the Department of Justice of breaking the law. Or excuse me, that came later. A new bill has been filed. The original bill, the discharge position, was basically saying, look, this Department of Justice and the White House are stonewalling on this. The American people want it released. Let's get it released. And with that in mind, they sponsored this bill. I don't think either one of them expected it to pass. It did eventually. It took a while and some special elections to get basically enough Democrats in the House through that one final special election to move it from 217 to 218. It passed. Now there's controversy again about what was released. The White House, of course, opposed the release, and then Trump abruptly shifted on this after the discharge position was passed. And then the Department of Justice didn't follow the law. So Representative Massey, Republican from Kentucky, and Representative Ro Khanna from California, Democrat from California, are now co-sponsoring a bill accusing the Department of Justice of breaking the law by not releasing all of the files by the deadline outlined in the original legislation. So we'll see where this goes. I have no idea if it's what the odds are or anything like that. I'm not up on those machinations of the House right now. It's a little wild there, but I do know that it's fair to put this in the top 10 at least. But this was number 4, in Politico's list. Number 5, the boat strikes and escalation, and the second strike on survivors of the original boat strike just off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean. Questions, even within the military, it sounds like, over the legal status of these strikes. Were they legal? Big debate over that. Since the U.S. has been instructed by the White House and Marco Rubio to seize 2 oil tankers off the coast of Venezuela. And the president announced, unconfirmed yet by the Pentagon still, but the president in an interview on Monday implied at least there was a secret CIA drone strike on Venezuelan soil. Again, some legal questions around that. That was number 5 on the list. And number 6 on their list, the whole Doge thing, Department of Government Efficiency and Elon Musk. In the end, they didn't really save taxpayers any money. In fact, they cost taxpayers money, cut a lot of programs, ended a lot of jobs, and most of those have had to be hired back, actually, at additional expense. Elon's still defending this, saying they saved money, but people just can't see it yet. We'll see. I think most people are hoping. And also meeting with some criticism from Republicans now, saying it was a great idea that should have gone somewhere, but Musk himself derailed it with his pomp and circumstance, one Republican said. That was the top 5 stories, that was number 6 in the top 10. And finally, last one here, we won't get to all 10, but number 7, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made number 7 on the Politico and the Hill's top 10 political stories list because listeners felt that it was a story in 2 ways. One, a lot of rulings, narrow rulings that sort of empowered President Trump with some of his initiatives coming right into office. One example, gender identity on passports and things like that. Still caught up in courts. There were lawsuits immediately, but the Supreme Court said, no, the president can do that. And then turning around and being a backstop, blocking the president on some things too. Most recently, of course, saying no, the president can't just deploy the National Guard into any state. That ruling came just before the Christmas holiday. And then an expected rule on tariffs that at least the tea leaf readers are expecting isn't going to go well for the president, saying that Congress plays a role here. The president doesn't get to unilaterally decide what's happening. So we'll see where it all goes. Again, it's been quite a year, and this is just one list from one outlet. But I think that it does a good job of kind of highlighting some of the bigger stories of the year. I'm curious what our listeners think. If you had a local story, something from here in Cache Valley preferably, but even just a Utah story that you couldn't put aside, that was just something that grabbed your attention and you couldn't move away from it. I would love to hear more. Give us a call, 753-5868. It is, again, quite a year. We'll be back with more of KVN News for the People right after this look at the news with KVN News. We'll feel right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Utah State troopers are launching a massive statewide coordinated enforcement effort to remove impaired drivers from the roads as New Year's Eve celebrations are beginning. Now, Utah Highway Patrol confirming that troopers from St. George to Tremonton are working extra shifts specifically focused on DUI detection. Now, Major Chamberlain Neff with the UHP stated that the agency will have zero tolerance for impaired driving, noting that the state typically sees around 40 DUI arrests during the New Year holiday period. Now, Neff warned that a DUI can cost tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, tow fees, and potential hospital bills. It can also take away freedoms and a driver's license. Now, beyond the financial and legal risks, Neff emphasized the emotional toll of preventable tragedies, sharing that after 20 years in law enforcement, the burden of notifying families of a loved one's death remains the most difficult part of the job. Now, officials are urging anyone who is planning to consume alcohol to arrange a rideshare, designated driver, or a cab well in advance of those festivities. And friends and family of a 34-year-old man shot and killed last Friday night at a holiday party say that the violence stemmed from a domestic argument and not gang activity. Alexander Powell was found with multiple gunshot wounds in a driveway early on the morning of December 26th. Now, the party's host, Brandy Stone, said the gathering included several families and children. Now, Stone, who shares a 13-year-old son with Powell, said that an argument between Powell and two other guests had moved from the kitchen to the driveway before shots were fired. Now, Stone noted that her son had witnessed the aftermath. Now, South Jordan police arrested Kevin Scarborough and Zachary Prescott in connection with the shooting. Both men reportedly had fled the scene before officers arrived. A community fundraiser, meanwhile, has been established to support Powell's wife and children. And finally, a Salt Lake City man is facing felony charges after a karaoke argument at a weekend party escalated into a violent assault involving a hammer and a knife. An Lai was charged yesterday with 2 counts of aggravated assault resulting in serious injury and multiple misdemeanors. Now, according to charging documents, the altercation began Saturday during a party. Now, Lai and another guest were drinking and singing karaoke. Prosecutors allege the Lai challenged a man and his girlfriend to fight outside, and when they declined, Lai reportedly struck the man in the head with a hammer and slashed both victims with a knife. Now, the male victim suffered injuries to his head, stomach, and leg, while the woman was cut on her hand while attempting to intervene. Now, Lai allegedly made statements during the attack indicating an intent to kill the couple. He's also been charged with public intoxication and disorderly conduct. Well, as we ring in the new year, it looks like it's going to be a wet start to 2026, as we'll see these clouds continuing to decrease overnight as temperatures going to drop into the mid-20s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. Chance of showers will increase with temperatures staying right around the mid-40s. We'll see rain continuing in the forecast Friday and Saturday, tapering off by Saturday afternoon. Temperatures through the next several days going to stay right around the mid-40s during the day. Overnight temperatures staying right around the mid-20s. And weather this hour brought to you by Jace Allen and Allen Law Office. Wills and trusts are what they do, helping to protect your loved ones, protect your legacy, and protect your assets. It's all they do at Allen Law Office. Give them a call today at 435-227-5468, or you can also check them out online at cashlegal.com. And I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU local headlines.
ABC News, I'm Mike Tobuski. It's officially the new year in the United Kingdom, with thousands of revelers in the last hour ringing in 2026 along the banks of the Thames, watching a fireworks display in a very chilly London. The Justice Department is aiming to have hundreds of lawyers dig through its massive collection of Epstein files before they're released. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
As it reviews and processes millions of pages of documents, the Justice Department is now seeking to enlist 400 DOJ attorneys, including federal prosecutors in New York and Florida. Sources say the review is expected to take much of January and that the next release of Epstein-related documents is not likely until the end of the month. It remains unclear why the department is only now claiming it's discovered more than 5 million pages that may relate to Jeffrey Epstein.
And the U.S. Coast Guard confirms that a search and rescue operation is underway after last night's military strikes on alleged drug smugglers. This is ABC News.
This is Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. This time of year is filled with wonderful sounds, from music and family parties to an I love you from a grandchild. Don't miss any of these special moments. Let us help you or a loved one with a plan to improve your quality of life through better hearing. Visit us at 485 North Main Street in Logan or call to make an appointment at 753-4327. That's 753-HEAR, or find us at cachehearing.com.
All right, so here's the deal. We're here with Tyson at Mountain Valley Heating and Air, and he says that you can only take advantage of both government tax credits and rebates for new furnaces through December 31st. But the crazy part is you don't even have to install them right now. Explain, Tyson.
Yeah, you're only required to at least purchase the equipment before the end of the year. I mean, we're already slammed through the end of the year. So what we're doing is accepting deposits on equipment for next year so that you can still get the full $7,000 in rebates and tax credits available for next year. last year.
And these new furnaces you guys are installing, they're 95% more efficient, right?
They're actually the top of the line equipment. They're 99% efficient. I've got one customer that saved 50% on his utility bills. With the rebates and tax credits, they're actually like $1,500 to $2,000 cheaper than just a basic system. If a new furnace and AC is in the future in the next year, save almost $7,000 on your equipment.
So get started at mountainvalleyhvac.com or call 753-5170.
Insuring your business can be frustrating. If you are confused about coverages, your rates are increasing, or you can't get a hold of your agent, it's time for a change. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. We do return your calls because we work for you. We believe that protecting your business should be affordable and hassle-free. As an independent agency, we have access to multiple carriers like Auto Owners Insurance and will give you options. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
We had Scott on the line there. Couldn't stick with us through the news break there, but wanted to weigh in on top news stories of the year. And Scott said, I'm not reading any news in 2026. Paraphrasing here. Sorry, Scott, if I get your words wrong. But Scott basically saying, look, the year started with Jimmy Carter dying, who became a great president after being the worst president, which I think, Scott, is one of the best ways I've ever heard anyone describe Jimmy Carter. Great president after he was no longer president. And then the year wrapped up, Scott said, with the release of the Epstein files, which has just been bonkers, and potentially, the U.S. going to war with Venezuela. Scott says, I'm done. Not reading any political news in 2026. And I said, fair enough. Although I hope you still listen, Scott. We'll try to keep it lighthearted as much as possible. The local stories that we talk about here on this show definitely do not come with the sense of impending doom that the national stories can come with. So with that in mind, ABC News has a great recap. I'll just run through these quickly, but I'd recommend you read it. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, but ABC News has a recap of not just the list we just went through there before the news was just the top political stories according to surveying and traffic analysis that was done by Politico and The Hill, two exclusively political news organizations. ABC has done one for just general news stories that got talked about the most, shared the most, ended up receiving calls for their journalists to appear on radio and TV the most. And here's the quick list. In no particular order, ABC News says. The LA wildfires. I'd forgotten about this as being part of this year, but the Palisades and Eaton fires in LA County, January 7th of 2025. Horrible situation. Some of the most shocking imagery, I think. You've got the ocean, and feet away from the ocean, just across that little strip of sand, just a burning hillside headed towards some of those beachside homes. And, of course, then it burned up through very, dense communities, a lot of tragic situations there. So that was first on their list. Again, in no particular order. The back-to-back plane crashes. From January on throughout the year, American Airlines regional jet was on approach to Washington, D.C., Reagan National, collided with a U.S. Army Black helicopter back in January. And then it just kept going. So 64 people on board the plane and 3 soldiers in the helicopter were killed in that event. And then it was just a year of close calls and, airline traffic control mistakes. And, yeah, it was a bad year in air travel. I don't know why. ABC also mentions Gene Hackman and his wife finding them dead in their home. Tragic scenario there all around. Karen Reed's trial made ABC's list. I didn't follow this one, but this was Massachusetts jury back in June found Karen Reed not guilty of murdering her boyfriend, who was a Boston police officer, which ended a years-long criminal investigation and case And while she was acquitted of the most serious charges, second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of the accident, resulting in death, the jury did find her guilty of operating under the influence of liquor and sentenced her to 1 year of probation. But that was kind of a surprise ruling because I think a lot of people following the story had decided that, the defense argued that Reed's vehicle did not hit O'Keefe and instead said O'Keefe was attacked by a dog and beaten by other people who were in the house before he was thrown outside in the snow to freeze and die. The allegations were that Reed actually ran him over as they were having a fight at a party. She was acquitted. The flooding in Texas in July also made the list. That was pretty big. Over 130 people died, including 117 alone in one county, Kerr County. And the controversy around the Camp Mystic Christian all-girls sleepaway camp in Kerr County and their own safety procedures. That was a big story. The Brian Kohberger guilty plea. This was, of course, here in our own backyard, quadruple homicides at the University of Idaho. Kohberger admitted to the crimes, those 2022 crimes, at a change of plea hearing last July, and was given 4 consecutive life sentences on 4 first-degree murder counts. Maximum penalty of 10 years on a burglary count in addition. The Sean Diddy Combs trial made the list. The manhunt for Travis Decker, I'd forgotten about this one as well, started on May 30th when Decker picked up his 3 daughters in Washington State and disappeared. It was a nationwide manhunt. They eventually, this guy had extensive military training, multi-agency involved. The military was consulted as well. And on September 18th, Decker's remains were found in a remote wooded area. Local coroner said an autopsy couldn't be done due to how little was left to actually, go through. That was a big story. The Charlie Kirk assassination made ABC's list as well here in Utah. And finally, Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner found in their home allegedly slain by their own son. A story from just weeks ago made their list. So that's the top stories, most talked about stories from ABC's reporting this year. Check it out. Link on our Facebook page with additional details on each story. And we'll be back right after this, wrap the show up on why you shouldn't set any New Year's resolutions this year, or if you do, you should do them in a different way. What psychologists have to say about how we do our own goal setting right after this.
Blast into the new year with fireworks from M&M Fireworks. They've got unbelievably low prices on every kind of fireworks you can imagine. Sparklers, fountains, and everything in between, including Utah-friendly mortars. Open December 30th and 31st. Stock up now at M&M Fireworks and make your New Year's celebration the brightest one yet. Find them at 34 East, 1800 North, just north of Cal Ranch. That's 34 East, 1800 North for M&M Fireworks.
Renegade Rentals can't control the weather, but here's what they can control: the price on snowblowers. Renegade Rentals in Logan and Brigham City has a huge inventory of snowblowers that have to go. No snow, huge savings. Toro, Honda, Ariens, single stage, 2-stage, electric, homeowner to commercial size. Save $100 to $800 off retail. Full warranty, service after the sale, no gimmicks. Huge savings on in-stock inventory only. Renegade Rentals, Logan and Brigham City, or online at renegaderentals.com.
Hi, this is Chris Wilson at Wilson Motor Company. It's been a great year, and it's not over. We are in the final days of our holiday sales event with clearance prices on over 220 new and pre-owned vehicles. Ford and Nissan have just announced higher rebates and 0% financing on many models, and 1.9% interest up to 72 months on F-150s. Check out our inventory online at wilsonmotor.com, but hurry in. Factory incentives and holiday pricing ends on January 2nd.
Wilson Motor Company. We make car buying easy.
Ding dong, the reindeer are gone. Celebrate the new year with fireworks.
Merrill Family Holiday Sales has the biggest and best fireworks in the Valley at 153 South Main Street in Logan, next to the Baugh Motel. Coordinate a fireworks show to meet your budget. Merrill Family Holiday Sales, open through December 31st from noon until 10 p.m. each day at 153 South Main in Logan. Happy New Year from Merrill Family Holiday Sales.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Time is running out, so get to Discount Tire and Automotive now. Winter driving means you need good, safe traction. Take advantage of huge savings. Get a $50 instant rebate on any 4-traction tires or improve safety with winter tires that excel below 45 degrees. Plus, we've got layaway, no credit check financing in 12 months, no interest. Don't wait another day. Drive in now to Discount Tire and Automotive.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Wrapping up today's show with something we don't do on the show very often, a little self-help advice. Self-help advice from The Atlantic. Well, actually from psychologists that The Atlantic magazine spoke to about New Year's resolutions. Short and sweet of this, don't bother. They don't work. Setting big, lofty goals at New Year's is often seen as a way to impose accountability on ourselves and set goals, both good things, writes Alvin, let me find the guy's name, at The Atlantic, Trapp. And he says, speaking with psychologists, they can explain to you in long, boring detail why this doesn't work, but you don't need to know any of that. What you need to know is that subtle goals set throughout the year are actually far more effective. So a way to think better about New Year's is to look back to the ancient times in Babylonia or even ancient Rome, or even a Gallup 1947 poll, Trapp writes, in which the most popular resolution in 1947 here in the U.S. was for people to improve their dispositions and control their tempers. Think of setting goals about helping your neighbors, improving your neighborhood, being a better person, being calmer, doing something good, donating to charity more often, things like that. Those goals, psychologists say, are more often achieved in New Year's resolutions than big ones, like I'm going to lose weight or quit smoking. So make those resolutions in January instead while no one's listening.